Well, let's have more on the signing of the 2021 budget by the president. And we'll be joined on News Track by a development economist and chief executive of UHY Margie, Mr. Gabriel Idahosa. Thank you, Mr. Idahosa, for joining us on News Track. Now that the budget has been signed, what are your expectations, especially as government tries to keep up with the January to December budget cycle? What difference will it make this time?
The primary expectation is that the government will quickly start implementation. In the last 2 years, government has succeeded in ensuring that the budget is passed on time. What shouldn't happen is that come tomorrow morning, all government agencies should begin to implement the budget. That is when passing it before 1st of January makes sense. If that does not happen, then the effort to pass it will not achieve any results. The capacity of the budget itself to drive recovery is largely dependent on how quickly government agencies implement the various aspects of the budget, particularly the capital budget. The recurrent budgets will just sustain the government machinery, but capital budget needs to be ramped up very, very quickly, particularly also in the capital budget, those that are related to COVID-19 recovery objectives, economic recovery program. These have to be done in a great haste. Government cannot afford the kind of what has been regarded as a rather slow process in implementing policies, as we have seen in the past.
Now, what do you make of the president's announcement that specific borrowing plans will be forwarded to the National Assembly soon?
Well, I think it's responding to a lot of concerns about our degree of borrowing and then the capacity to repay. There's been the argument that we have a lot of room to borrow because of our GDP. But that is not the primary concern now. The capacity to pay when we borrow, it's very, very low, hardly existent, because the entire revenue hardly matches our recurrent expenditure. So the president expects the National Assembly to be very, very cautious about receiving or, in fact, considering any new borrowing.
But do you foresee any adjustments to the budget in near term, maybe possibly occasioned by the second wave of the pandemic, which is upon us, but it could possibly take its toll on the economy again?
Yes, unfortunately, the second wave is for Nigeria and the countries really affected a new coronavirus situation. In March last year or this year, we have a surprise with coronavirus. And then this new wave, certainly for Nigeria, is a huge surprise because we don't have the capacity to deal with it. It may mean the government going back to the drawing board and looking at all the priorities in the current budget and possibly redirecting some priorities to ensure that we deal effectively with COVID-19 situations. Because without that, a lot of other things cannot happen. If the economy is not running, if the economy is forced to slow down or lock down, then all the recovery plans are in jeopardy.
Thank you. Development economist and CEO of UHY Margie, Mr. Gabriel Idahosa. Thank you for speaking with us on News Track, and do have a wonderful 2021.
Thank you.